Reddit, what's the craziest thing that happened in a party during your high school college years? I saw a 140-pound French Canadian tear a sink out of a wall, run outside, and smash it into pieces against a tree. By the time we'd woken up the next morning, he'd already gone to Home Depot, bought a new sink, and installed it in the bathroom. French at night, Canadian by day. One of my friends and I were at a house party. She drank 8 shots of tequila one right after the other and then proceeded to have bareback and LSX on the front lawn while everyone watched. Not one of her finest moments. She's a Mormon now, apparently. We had a pet raccoon for 2 days, long party, who would hang out with us. We thought he was a nice furry guy. But then he betrayed us. We were pretty drunk. He left. Came back with friends. Looted our house. I don't want to be anti-raccoon, but it is hard for me to trust them now. If you read this, Fritz, reconsider. Come back and we'll start over. Edit. Thank you for the gold. Kind stranger. I got pissed drunk and wandered off to McDonald's, which was like a mile off campus. I don't remember even leaving, but I got a call a week later from the McDonald's saying I didn't get the job because I didn't go to the interview. I guess in my drunken state I got there and realized I had no money, so I must have sat there and applied for a job. Didn't remember a thing. Edit. They called to ask if I wanted to reschedule, but my reaction was, what the FCK are you talking about? So they kindly informed me that they didn't need my assistance. The dude must have thought I was retro dead. I should have explained that better. Last year a few of my friends hosted a party at their house. The toilet got clogged and everyone just kept using it and layering toilet paper up, eventually rendering the toilet useless. So now everyone who had to piss did so in the bathtub. Same thing happened and now the bathtub is clogged. By the time any of the guys who lived there heard about it and walked towards the bathroom to investigate, you have to walk past the laundry room to get there. They see a girl sitting on the dryer taking a piss in it. She claimed multiple girls did it right before her, so she thought it was okay. TL. Dear, girls are more disgusting than boys. Why the FCK didn't everybody piss outside? I was issued a citation for illegally selling hot dogs, during which I was tripping on acid. Edit. To be fair, I was illegally selling hot dogs to cabbies and it was blocking traffic. One of my best friends was thrown out of a window naked while having sex with a girl. That's like the holy grail for people with a defenestration fetish. Was the girl still attached as he was thrown? The host of the party decided to get into his unregistered car, without license plates, without insurance, and without a license, and as drunk as the day is long. He drove the wrong way through a traffic circle, roundabout, and ran into a road sign. His best friend then screamed his name across the road. A neighbor called the cops, told them his name, etc. He was taken in and blood tested with 2/mil. He was let go, but he can't apply for a license until 2018. Retro dead on so many levels. Invite a friend over to drink late night. 10 minutes later he calls us saying he's in the living room. He's nowhere to be found. Look outside to see 2 cop cars and his car in the neighbor's driveway. Turns out he walked into my friend's neighbor's house pissed drunk, asking where we were at like 2 a.m. A girl got drunk and passed out. Some guys pooped on her face and took pictures. This happened 2-3 years ago. He has a lot of Twitter followers now. Here's what happened, because I guarantee these will be deleted. OP tells a story of a girl who got pooped on after passing out. Redditor A asks if it was in a particular town. OP says nope, but it was in that particular state. Redditor B then chimes in with a location and a name of pass out poopy. OP confirmed it. TL. Doctor personal information. Don't poop on people. HS. My house party. Guy asks me if he can shoot some other kid and shows me a 45. I tell him not on my property and not at my party. He apparently respected that. Later he gets drunk and cuts his own stomach open. About 1 inch deep. 8 inches wide. You can clearly see each layer of skin and fat. He then goes around talking with it like it's Jim Carrey's rectum. We eventually convince him much later to go to the hospital, as he previously refused because he was afraid they were going to commit him to the psych ward. But by then they told him it had been too long and they could only debride and dress it. He has a massive scar there now, although he's much more sane and stable these days. 2 guys fought over a homely girl. One later pulled a knife on the other while he was asleep and stabbed him through the neck. Stabber, back of a round. 3 Ike. Has no memory of the event. Did 15 years in jail. Stabby had a blood clot. Lead to stroke. Lead to debilitating brain damage. Took him about 10 years to recover his mental faculties. That's no. Guy walked into the party. No one knew him. He walked around for a few minutes, then pulled out a gun. Shot the refrigerator 2 times. And then calmly walked out. Is your refrigerator running? No. It was shot to death a month ago. Oh. I'm so sorry. This one drunk girl had a fetish of getting pissed on. There was a circle of guys just pissing on her. I kinda noped right out of the party. Dude. Missed a golden opportunity. I live in Isla Vista, where basically Party Central is located on a street right on the cliffs over the ocean. I was at an Atto Day party. Everything is all good. People were intoxicated and having a good time. Then all of a sudden we hear screams and people start freaking out. Someone fell off the cliffs. Turns out it was my friend who fell off the cliffs to his death. That was definitely one of the most craziest and traumatic experiences of my life, along with the shootings that happened here in Isla Vista last weekend. Moral of the story: don't pee off of cliffs into the ocean when you are blacked out drunk. College. Guy goes upstairs to pass out. Girl is already in the bed of his choosing. Amazing sex sounds. Morning after. Horrible screaming. Guy and girl turn out to be siblings. Was at a Halloween party and passed out on top of a cooler. I was awakened by my friends saying the cops were there and we had to run. So my friends and I were dressed up as a geisha girl, Cinderella, Abby Cadabby and Tinkerbell, all running down the road trying to avoid an MIP. We make it to a 7-11 and call my friend's boyfriend to take us home. He shows up dressed as Batman and drunk. He drives us home and on his way home gets pulled over and flees on foot. He then goes home and reports that someone in a Batman costume stole his Jeep and got away with it. Went to a house party freshman year of high school in Europe. It was this rich girl's apartment in a pretty high building, 10-12 stories. She lived on the top floor of this building, and after getting drunk and a little high, Taoyali style, I started feeling pretty confident in myself. She had a small balcony and it was next to her neighbor's balcony, which was about a 2-meter gap of nothing all the way down in between. In my drunken stupor I decided that moment would be the first time I said hold my beer. I stood up on the handrail and jumped across to the other balcony and back completely drunk. The second jump back really put how high up I was into perspective when I looked down at the middle of the jump. Landed safely, but god, that could have ended poorly. Happened leaving a party. High school. 3 of my white friends went to juvenile detention and I didn't. Even though I was in the same car busted for weed. I am black. But I'm also a smooth talker. More details. It was all their stuff and I barely even touched it. So I wasn't willing to take equal punishments for cruising with them. I was like, please officer, I haven't touched it. And I still have a curfew. If you're going to hold me, I need you to let me contact my parents. They called my mom to come pick me up. Friends say I pussed out. I say I played my cards right. Those officers probably tell that story all the time right before they say, see, I'm not racist. I was messing around with my friend beatboxing and white boy dancing to ourselves, and some black guys came over and started rapping to our beatbox. Then someone got shot and I ran to my car. But on my way a pizza place, Diamond Pizza, was closing and gave me a free pizza. Yes, this happened in Philadelphia. On a break from college my friends all got together for a small party. One of my best friends brought her new boyfriend that none of us had met. I guess he was really nervous and trying to show off. Because he challenged all the guys there to a shot contest in which he claimed he could take 3 shots for everyone one they took and still not get drunk. Well, you can imagine how that ended up. He got obliterated. Long story short, he ended up breaking a marble table. How? Choking out his girlfriend. Our friend. Right in front of us. And ultimately pulling a gun on the guys that tried to drive him home, essentially creating a small-scale hostage situation in front of the house. Scariest night of my life, not knowing if my friends were going to get shot as we were hiding inside the locked house. Luckily the cops came with no problems and he spent a week or 2 in jail. I've got a few from just one night. My best friend, our acid dealer, was having a huge house party. Probably 60-70 of us there. Nearly everyone tripping balls. Long story short, the cops have us all lined up against a wall chewing us and searching our pockets. Cop finds a little balloon full of white powder on my buddy next to me. What's this? Huh? You gonna tell me what IT is? Screaming, spitting in the cop's face. IT's flour, UFC, I'm pig. I was trying so hard not to laugh I was shaking. It was flour. We were stuffing it in balloons and playing with it. Almost 25 years later and we're still laughing about it. Get the crime lab results back on the balloon? Yes sir. They said they made gravy with it. I saw a dude on drugs eat some guy's ear. We were having the good old parties back in college when a guy outside went crazy. He literally ripped the dude's ear off and started munching on that little FK. Someone called the cops and he was arrested. 2 years later he was arrested again for having 3 kids in his basement. Later he was arrested again for having 3 kids in his basement. Watched a girl get launched through the back of a car window. The evils of alcohol. Man. Edit. It was a fight between a friend and her so at the time. Events like this happened frequently when they drank together. Though never this serious. We were all out in the street. They were screaming at each other and swinging around violently. He just picked her up and threw her through the windshield. This guy was pretty big. But my friend is also about 5 feet 1. Maybe 100 pounds soaking wet. Somehow she didn't want to press charges. But the police did. Lots of people were subpoenaed. But because everyone was too hammered to correctly accurately recount the incident, it got thrown out. The foreign exchange student from Sweden took too much MDMA and ended up dancing in the living room with his pants and briefs pulled down. There he was. In the living room of a massive party. With his tiny little dick swaying back and forth. He was kicked out. And kept coming back dancing with his pants at his ankles. He came back the next day to apologize. It was his first week being a foreign exchange student at our school. Yes. A meme was made. The image is literally ingrained into my psyche. His penis was so small. I was invited. That happened. A friend of mine thought it would be hilarious to take a shitty from a tree. So he climbed up about 25 feet. Dangled by his legs around a branch. Then proceeded to drop a huge fudge dragon right into the back of his white t-shirt that he was wearing. Rave party in a church. Some half-brown dreadlocked dude in a Jesus costume FK'd a girl in the priest booth above the DJ stage. Was it in missionary? I was outside pissing in some nice bushes when I look up and holy FCK. Aurora Borealis. Living in Washington, this has never happened before. I proceeded to run inside to tell everyone, but they thought I was just drunk. In their defense, I was. And very enthusiastic. And making shitty up. Their loss. The Aurora Borealis? At this time of year? At this time of day? In this part of the country? Localized entirely within your kitchen? So anyway, one time I went down to visit my friends in Cork. 2 of them were twins and were throwing an 18th. It was a great night and everyone got very drunk. Round 4 everyone started to look for a place to sleep. Unfortunately one of the rooms containing 3 beds and a few sleeping bags had been occupied by one of the twins and his girlfriend. So 14 of us had to all pile into one double bed. I was sleeping in between one of the twins and another friend of mine. He was talking non-stop with some girl but I didn't mind because I had somewhere to sleep. About 3:30 I'm talking to my friend when his face suddenly turns white. From behind me I hear a slow creaking sound. It slowly gets louder. I was in shock. After a minute he stops and I hear a sigh. I hold up my hand and he high-fives me. And that is how my friend lost his virginity. TL. Dr. Friend lost virginity in bed with 14 people. Followed by high five. Yell fuss RODO and then loudly shitty themselves. I went camping with a man that was just released from prison. It was right after Blair Witch came out so we were a little on edge anyway but prison dude was pretty awesome. He was so happy to be out in the fresh air. He did everything. Set up camp. Cut up the wood. Built the biggest fire we ever seen. Lit it and then jumped and cleared it. Then we ate a bunch of acid and eggs. Cooked some steaks and threw them into the darkness for the coyotes. Later on some loppers showed up at about 2 to 3 AM. I think they were camping a few sites over and heard us. Anyway. They showed up but since we were all peeking and freaking we ended up chasing them away wielding small weapons with handkerchiefs wrapped over our faces. Then we danced till dawn. Good times. I was in downtown Lexington when Kentucky was playing in the NCAA men's basketball championship game. Saw a bunch of titties. Someone hit me in the face with a beer bottle, thrown, and broke my tooth. At halftime. Saw many pieces furniture on fire. Saw a car get flipped over. Almost got hit by a fire truck. Got knocked over by a riot officer. Ended up passing out outside my brother's house and when I woke up I thought I would be in my dorm room in a different city. I was very surprised. HM. Entire party of 9 or 10 people gradually got naked and then had a bunch of sex. Okay. Everyone was rolling. But still. Close bracket. A guy pissed out the window of a dorm. Accidentally playing Sprinkle the Pig with a police officer in the process. Then hid in the women's shower room until the cop left. Okay, that guy was me. Some guy I'd never met tagged along with his friends I barely knew to a party at my house. Got drunk. Took ketamine. Apparently ate at any bar. And disappeared. The next morning we bumped into my neighbor. Who told me she scared off a homeless man jumping on her kid's trampoline in her fenced-in yard. He tried to steal her cat and then scaled the fence and booked it. Same guy. Apparently. A couple of friends and myself ripped up a stop sign and used it as a battering ram to open a door to a party. Was at a show in the sticks that the RCMP came to shut down. One of the local kids dropped a deuce on the RCMP's windshield. We watched the cops chase that kid for 20 minutes before coming back empty-handed. That kid is my punk rock hero. My buddy who fled America to Canada came to a house party once. Everyone was downstairs. He needed to piss but the bathroom downstairs was locked. He ran upstairs while we stayed down. I start to notice this liquid dripping down from a vent. Plopping on this super hot chick's hair. I think no. It can't be. Then I see Jeremy come downstairs with this huge grin and giggling like a schoolgirl. Guess what he asked? What? Comma. I pissed in the air vent. So I point to the dripping liquid and ask, so that's you? Full stop. Then we stood around for 15 minutes and watched people get piss on their heads and laugh. What the FCK inspires people to do retro-edge tea like this? I keep seeing people talk about what crazy stuff other people did at parties. So I'm going to say what I did. Of course I was super high. And my friend and I were waiting to cross the street to go back to the house where the party was at. We decided to jaywalk. But of course we didn't look both ways. So as I'm running across the street and a horn honks and I jump up to the sidewalk. And I barely missed the car. So my friend asked if I was it. And I started to cry saying I just died. I just died, man. This continued for 5 minutes. And my friend called the police saying I died. So the cops all show up looking for a dead kid. But I left the party about 5 minutes before the police showed up. She got in a shitty ton of trouble. But I didn't even know until someone explained it to me a week later. Friend of mine was at a party the cops busted. It was Halloween, so everyone was in costume. This one dude was dressed as Jack Sparrow. Cops come in and the guy, who was super hammered at this point, stands right next to an open window and says, "You'll always remember this as the day you almost caught Jack Sparrow." Proceeds to jump out the second-story window and break his leg. Funny-ish tea. Went to the party. Got separated from my friends walking down the cul-de-sac. There are people everywhere. Like, literally several hundred people milling around. I finally get to the house. And it is a f***ing wreck. There are people everywhere. Doors are off hinges. Cabinets are off walls. At one point, someone kicked in a wall from the living room to the kitchen and it just broke apart. I was kinda frightened. Then the police arrived with drug-sniffing dogs. A friend I was with started getting really panicky because she had coke in her bra. I found a kinda tame friend of mine. And we noped the FCK out of there and went home. I think we ended up playing RTW together. Cool night. A lot of people in this thread have noped the FCK out of there.